So, hello, hey, and welcome. My name is Michael, and I'm running Foo Café together with Sofia, our producer tonight, and Kasper Levinson, who is actually our tech support for this live stream event, our first event in this new venue. And come together. That's what Foo Café is. It's come together to learn from each other. And that's something we have done now for 8 years. Yay! And we also have Esther Daniel. Come here. Come. In camera mode. Esther was my super supporter and also co-founder at Foo Café already from the beginning. At 2011, we sat at your living room and planned this. Yeah. Yay! So I'm really happy to have you all here. It's Corona times, and I would be super happy if there were 5 people here. But now we are roughly 25-ish. Yeah. So I know it's a new venue because when we started some years ago in 2012 at the Media of Illusion City, and now we actually have a new venue at Stockholm in Malmö. And so far we have done more than 2,500 events for more than 60,000 attendees. And we are focusing on software development, and we are doing different types of events. And some events are for kids, and some events are for immigrants. But the most of the events we are doing are for professional developers in the industry, and where people meet, get new friends, get new job, hiring people, and many more things. And also some immigrants have also told me that Foo Café has actually integrated me to the Swedish society. So we are doing many things, and the only thing we are doing is actually making people meet. That's our basic. We don't do any fancy or cool shit. And this event is a housewarming party, since the venue is not ready yet. It will be ready in October. And it's, you can look around later on. But so in that case, we also have the opportunity to have a inauguration party. So when everything is ready, we will have another party, of course. So it's always a good reason to have a party. So, and I'm sorry for you that is online, because you don't get any bubbles, as we said in Swedish. I don't know how do you say it in English. So is it bubbles? Is it fair enough? Okay, cool. All right, 9 years. We have started new. I already told you about. All right, this is how it should look like, the new venue. And so we are right here now in the lobby. This desk will be managed by Mind Park. And here you could get a good cup of coffee and some support. And then we will have a arena or auditorium for 30-40 people-ish. And this is the co-working space. And then it will be also a large conference room where we could have workshops and stuff like that. So this is how it will look like in mid-October, roughly. So I think that's it for me. And our guest speaker is my good friend Jimmy. And we will have a short break, just changing computers, and then Jimmy will come and give you tonight's lesson or knowledge of experience. Turn it on. All right, everybody. I would like to tell you that the story about when we, just Jimmy has been a great supporter to me, and already back in the days at Öredev times, we you helped me a lot to just kick-started Öredev many years ago, and now you're here, and is it your first speak at Foo Café Malmö?
Yeah, it actually is, yeah.
You
I've
have
done a
done-
few in Stockholm.
You have done a few in Stockholm,
Yeah.
but Malmö is better.
Yeah, I totally agree, yeah.
You can't say anything else.
Especially the people. So,
Yeah, of course. It's always about the people. Yeah. All right. A big hand to Jimmy.
Thank you. Thank you. I just got a flashback from Öredev many years ago. I did a presentation, and then Michael come over to me and says, "Catastrophe! Bertrand Meyer isn't coming." And at that time, I think he was at least one of my top 3 heroes. So I was very disappointed. And then you tell me, "Please, Jimmy, you have to be Bertrand." Oh my God, that was a scary moment. I think they noticed, by the way. So I prepared a little presentation. Actually, we had some miscommunication, I think, Michael and I, because I thought it was a child audience today, and so I'm not sure how this will. No. No, it's not. I've thought about software developers because I'm a software developer. So I guess most of you are from that area, perhaps prior or still. I'm both from that area, and I still live in the software development arena, and I will continue doing that because I have so much more to learn. So I can continue for at least 10 more years. I've been saying for a long time. So the other day I noticed the following. Who are the top 4 regarding richness from a monetary perspective? I saw a list. Anybody know? Yes, Jeff is one of them at Amazon. Bill Gates. Have you seen the same list? And number 3 is, oh my God, this is, and finally, Elon. This wasn't supposed to be like this, but yeah, you're totally right. 4 guys, and you all know them well. Maybe you don't celebrate Christmas with them every year, but you kind of are familiar with them. So I was thinking, what do they have in common? And this is a little bit for the Swedes. This is not 4 elefanter is less than 5 whatever, ants, yeah. We don't want to take anyone out here, but maybe Mark then, because I don't use Facebook. But no, what's the commonality here? Yes, please.
Strong brands and popular stocks.
Sorry?
Strong brands and popular
Yeah,
stocks.
definitely. More? Sorry. Strong brands and popular stocks? Or maybe the opposite and both? Yeah?
There's software developers.
Exactly, that's what I was looking for. And they are, in the background, they are software developers. Isn't that really strange? It's not that many years ago I was feeling like the black sheep when I was speaking to my relatives because I was useless. They couldn't use me for anything. I couldn't paint, I couldn't carpent, I was worthless. And then slowly it changed a little bit. One day my grandmother at 80 told me about Steve Jobs, and I thought that this is really weird. And now those are, well, everybody know them, not only you coming from the software area, but everybody. And they are all software developers as the common thing. So I was thinking a little bit about what has been going on the 19th century. I think the world was, well, this is a simplification, of course, but I think the world was taking care of really smart, innovative people from the mechanical area. They invented stuff and they ruled the world. The last century, everything changed. All those innovative people, they died, I guess, and the companies were taken care of by financial people. And they were very different. It wasn't not about coming up with new stuff. It was more like taking care of what was around. And if you are not coming up with new stuff, you typically, to be successful in that setting, you have to focus on cutting cost. So that's what they've been doing for a long time. Maybe you heard that story about the big company selling hamburgers. The financial people thought, maybe what happens if we take away 2 sesame seeds from every bread? Will people notice? And they make a check for that. Nobody noticed. If there used to be 80, now there are 78, and it's totally fine. And all of a sudden they make millions out of that. What happens next week, you think? Let's repeat. Nobody noticed, but slowly it becomes worse, and all of a sudden nobody wants to have those burgers any longer. And that's kind of the world those people create. Now, the century we are living in right now, actually I think software developers are ruling the world now. And maybe, well, at least an indication we just saw. The most value-creating companies in the world are owned by software developers. And I think maybe we have a little bit less tendency of cutting cost. It's not too fun. You can only cut cost until you reach 0. And it's hard to save more. But the revenue, it doesn't have a roof. It can continue forever and increase. So software is everywhere. And I think the code nowadays is mightier than the sword, actually. For people online, you don't notice, but everybody in the audience are right now, they are jumping out of joy, and they totally agree with me. Thank you. So, what I think we will see, of course, is developers should continue creating great software. That's, well, we can't actually stop people from doing that. That will just continue. But I also think actually we should take some of the way developers think and apply it to how the organizations are being executing. So the same thinking of how code should be organized and dealt with, actually that logic is perfectly viable for the companies overall, I would say. Developers typically have quite they are smart and logical and rational and everything, and companies should be acting in a rational way, of course. So let's assume a company where you have the basics fulfilled. I'm not sure there is a company out there that actually have those basics fulfilled, but it's like a scale. But let's say you have a strong alignment on purpose in your company. Everybody really feel the purpose and want to aim for achieving it. And the company culture is one of a circle of safety. Everybody feeling safe to tell their opinion in every situation, and all energy is going outwards. No fight internally. And we are all also aiming for creating outcome. It's not just doing stuff. We have a goal and we go for that and we do it together. Let's assume we have that situation. What's coming next then? What's the next thing to focus on? And I think my answer to that is to continue not stopping what you're doing regarding those basic things, but the next thing is going out and hunting for bottlenecks and trying to solve those. What I'm trying to show here is a, a bottleneck where I put in effort from the left, and because of the bottleneck, there only so much can go out at the right. And when looking at this, some people, not developers typically, would think, well, let's put in more effort here. Do like this. What happens now? Not much. Not much that is useful, at least. We are just creating more inventory here. And actually, this is actually worse than worthless. This is actually typically negative. This is creating more problems than it solves. But not more is coming out to the right. Other people might think, well, let's add more effort to the right, taking care of everything that's coming out. Doesn't help at all either. Of course not. There is no more coming out. So this is totally counterintuitive, I think, to a developer, because we have been trained and practiced on thinking about theory of constraints in our whole lives. We should focus our effort where it makes where it matters most. So again, having all those basic needs fulfilled, we are not done, because when we start in this new situation of trying to find a bottleneck and open it up and break it, there is just another bottleneck and another one, and we can continue this forever. And it's not about improvements of 1% or things like that. It's typically huge leaps if you find the bottleneck and are able to solve it. So as I said, developers, we have been training and practicing this for a long time. Optimizing code, well, you need to find where it matters most and spend your time there. It doesn't matter if here is a piece of code that's been executed once a year and nobody cares. Maybe you don't need to optimize that because it doesn't help. But lately, I think we have also seen that developers are more into thinking about the team's flow and how the team's organization should be to well, not create a bottleneck. It doesn't matter if you have one programmer who writes loads of code very fast and that code is just stuck on the shelf. It has to be deployed and go out into production, of course. Then it becomes valuable. Before that, it's just an inventory and it costs and it doesn't help. And the book by Nicole Forsgren and company and the friends called Accelerate has been a great piece of literature, I think, for making this very apparent, not only to developers, but to the outside world as well. Because they say in the book that something like, and this is not just fiction, this is based on academic research. They say something like, we find perfect correlation between continuous delivery companies and companies making big profits. They correlate perfectly, and that's, well, all of a sudden everybody thinks, well, what's going on over here? The CEO of the big company want to talk to the developers all of a sudden. But I don't think that's enough. That's just one step. I think we can go further, and I think we should. And I think there was an indication that this is correct from those 4 people at the start. So I think developers should try to help out much more in the future of optimizing the business of the companies. So of course, continue developing software, but think a little bit bigger about our role in the companies, because we are needed for helping out with much more than just creating the software. Actually, I think this is our responsibility. It's our damn responsibility for helping out. So think about healthcare in the world, for example. If we can help out to optimize that a little bit, a tremendous benefit to the people in the world would come out of it. And that's just one example. There are so many. Okay, looking back at the 4 at the beginning, I think, I don't know this for sure, but I think they have been looking at their companies and playing with the organization and the operation, just like you are doing with the code all the time. They are finding the bottlenecks and take it away. And I think they have read books by Goldratt. Any one of you have read anything? Yeah. If Bertrand was my hero back in the days, Goldratt is nowadays. just amazing. He's not amazing at creating cool book covers. He has a tendency of smoking on them all. Doesn't look too cool, I think. But anyway, I forgive that because they are so amazingly inspiring, all of them. This is his last book. I think it's the 10th. It's called A Choice. But you might have read The Goal, for example, or one of the priors. But in the last one, he kind of sets everything into perfect shape, and it just, well, it's an amazing piece of literature, I think. Okay, would you say that if you get some time to have a closer look at a piece of code, would you say it's kind of simple to understand it after a while? You will grasp it? I think well, of course, we've seen really hard to understand code also, but code is, to a developer, it's going to do what it says, kind of. It won't come with surprises like emotions and things like that. So it's quite easy. But at the same time, I think most developers would say that, well, large corporations, I don't get them at all. They are tremendously complex. I don't understand at all what's going on. And I just skip trying, actually. But I think this is an approach we can't afford any longer. We have to help out. And I think it's very much about the choice, how to think about the situation. Of course, a large company, it has lots of bits and pieces. But when you kind of get it, you will typically find that this effect comes from this cause. And all of a sudden it becomes quite easy and clean, and loads of stuff is just stuff you can skip thinking about, and you will see the clean lines for the important things. If what you are after is trying to understand how it really works and how it could be changed into something else. So it's very much about the mindset, the choice. I have an example from my life with one of my clients. It's a company that is running quite successfully, I would say. They are dealing with a middleman for most of their business. The middleman takes 50% of the profit, hides 50% of the information from the customers, has its own agenda, not at all aligned with the purpose of my client, and kind of takes care of the customers so we don't even know them any longer. And if this was code, would you like to have a piece of a component in your code doing like that? It takes 50% of the performance. It hides what's going on for you. It actually do stuff you don't want it to. A little bit, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. Are you using Angular any longer? Okay, yeah. Of course, we have this, but we don't like it. And I think, to me, this says that, well, this just doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? I don't get it. And I think that's totally fine for us to ask the people in the company then. There might be reasons, of course. I realize that. We have to be humble. But we also, it's very refreshing for them to hear us say, I don't understand this at all. And I guess I'm kind of like average smart, so I should understand it. But I tried that in this specific situation, and I talked to very experienced people in the company, and they just told me they didn't really understand my problem with this. To them, it was just, yeah, this is how it is. We want it like this, and it has always been, and it should be. And why not? So, well, we haven't talked enough about this, but it was just, wow, that's how it can be. But we can't leave it like that. Anyway, that was just one example. You can probably come up with many more. I've collected a couple of reasons of you. If you don't want to think clearly, what should you do? Here are a couple of really good tips for that. For a start with believing that reality is amazingly complex. I come from a tradition of working a lot with domain-driven design. Maybe some of you have been doing that. Oh, 200 hands, that's amazing. And some people, when they see domain-driven design, they say, yeah, I get it. This is about describing reality. And that makes me, well, not angry, but it's totally the opposite. It's totally wrong. Reality, to describe reality, oh my God, that's tricky. But I don't care about describing reality when I do domain-driven design. I care about finding a solution to the problem, and I choose my model for that. And it should be as simple as possible. Let everything else go away. So I choose to see the problem as simple as possible, and nothing else can be there. It's still going to be too much for me most often. Another thing that will hinder your thinking is to see that, conflicts is a given, nothing we can really do about it except trying to negotiate and come up with a compromise where we all feel like losers. Because, there is only one cookie and we have to share it somehow. When you see the world like that, what happens is that you will be very protective about that cookie, not generous. You will, he shouldn't have more than me. And that's not a good atmosphere for thinking or creating value at all. Another example is to use circular logic. Assume someone tells you that you suppress your disappointment. And you feel a little bit, no, I'm not disappointed. And then that person might say to you, yeah, that's proof you are suppressing it. And that's not really science logic. That's just going in circles. What shall you do except getting angry with that person? You can't have a real discussion like that. When you say that you know, that means that you stop thinking and trying to understand more and more. That's another trap. And finally, blame the other party. Well, it's quite easy to do that because then you're done and it's not your fault. But again, we're not moving forward. Maybe the worst of all obstacles is the following. Derogatory explanations, meaning that, well, no surprise this is happening because they are idiots. And again, we are doing like this. We don't see anything and we are not solving anything at all. And this is actually much worse than that, because next time you don't expect much at all. You have very low expectations, and those expectations might not come true anyway. And that just means that you are even faster to come to the same conclusion again and again and again. And this is a very vicious circle, I would say. We are not having clean thoughts at all here. So the mindset we should aim for instead is to try to find the simplicity in every situation, because it is there somewhere. You just have to find it, and it might take some time and effort, of course, but it is around. We can take away every conflict. We can, instead of seeing the cookie as at a certain site, why not create a bigger cookie together? Then we don't have a conflict any longer. People are good. That's the starting point, and then the next day as well, and the day after that. That will help us much more than the opposite. We can always find a win-win solution, and it's not about finding an improvement of 2%. When you do have a breakthrough in your situation, finding a totally new solution and opening up that bottleneck, it's like putting in $1 and getting out 10 or 100 or $1,000. It's an enormous elevation of the effort. That's what we are having in front of us if we just keep on trying. This is not just about the life in your companies. This is very much about your personal life as well, of course. And everybody has the potential of having reaching a full life. Well, that's the good news. The bad news is that when you start acting and thinking along those lines, all of a sudden you don't have any excuses any longer. It's just up to you. So you have to take full responsibility. When something goes wrong, it's up to you. That was your fault. And it might feel a little bit harsh at first, but when you get used to it, it's actually quite relieving. That was my fault and I can do something about it. Isn't that much better than just being a victim of the situation? I think that makes such a tremendous change. Totally. So, how do we learn this mindset? Because there is a mission for us to help the companies of the world during this century. There are so much that can be improved and that we can all benefit from. So we need to practice this and learn this. Actually, I come up with an idea. We can go to Foo Café. Isn't that a good idea? Coming here and talking to super interesting people and get really inspired. I think that's actually a good idea for this and for many other things. I put a heart there because I love Foo Café. Although this is the first time I speak in Malmö, but I've been in Stockholm many times, so yeah. But I will come here instead. Forget about Stockholm. So yeah, Foo Café is amazing, and I was very happy when Michael asked if I wanted to speak at the anniversary day today. So I think it's about time to say happy birthday to Foo Café today, and yeah, and also to Michael actually. What an amazing achievement, I think, doing this. And well, if I'm right that we can help companies out there and Michael are helping us, wow, that's taking it to the next level, I think. Michael wasn't among the top 4 richest regarding monetary measurement. I'm not sure, maybe you are, but not in my list. But I think you are top 4 richest when it comes to relationships, creativity, and energy. So thank you very much for your achievement, Michael.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. I do have a small gift to you.
Thank
It's
you.
a notebook.
Thank you.
It's analog. So
I like that. I'm the old guy with the pen and an analog book still. So yeah, thank you very much. I will only write important things here.
yeah, great. Jimmy is a good friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you all. You can stick around and have some more bubbles.